Oh, hello, hello, hello. You are live, Corinna. Hello again. Ah, how are you?
A little bit fried after 4.5 days of CF classes.
I can
But
imagine.
so much good and new information. I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
So, if it's fine for you, I would mention something that could lead us into a conversation today.
Go.
Because, I had a few conversations in the last week, let me say, and they touched all the topic of Earth.
Okay.
And what became clear for me was in those conversations, every conversation, someone said they love our Earth, our planet. They care for Earth. And at the same time, I could perceive their bodies and
Mhm.
how they were disconnected, really disconnected themselves from their bodies, but they kept their bodies also separated from the earth. And even, yet that care for it was all mental, a mental construct. And I can say it was for me an eye opener also because I know now universe showed me how I was living for years. I couldn't
Mhm.
change anything with my body. And at the same time, I was caring for the earth also. And I loved also the earth. And now, how it is now, by changing my commitment to myself, the commitment to earth also changed. And yeah, I could see so clearly this mental construct towards the communion with earth and our bodies. Do you know something about this construct for yourself?
I would say that was also my initial way, and it changed, and I'm not even sure why or what was the culprit, so to speak, for it changing. When I started with the rites of passage, it really changed. Maybe the fact that I was spending by myself time out in nature, and
Mm.
as a sudden, I wasn't in a tent where usually the way I grew up was we would drive somewhere, my parents would drive somewhere, we would hike, we would go back home. Then with my husband, I started camping. We would camp, but there is still a separation. You have your enclosure where yes, you're out in nature, but you're mentally out in nature, but not in the same way as when you have a tarp that provides rain protection or shade, but otherwise you are on the ground. There is nothing else. And I remember, at some point saying, animals, would you mind staying off my ground tarp? It's fine everywhere else, and I'm okay with that, but don't come onto my ground tarp. That scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And but also think that being directly on the earth shifted something for me. Uh, Mere fact that I would not have said that before, that I would actually talk to the animals. Please could you
Do
stay
you mean
off
that you weren't, do you mean, Karina, that you weren't really aware and acknowledging that you were communicating with the animals?
Um, I didn't do it at all. I started asking, could you stay off my tarp when I started sleeping on the ground exposed? That's when I put the request out. And it sort of increased from there, the communion with, the communication with, the awareness of, you know.
Yeah, that I can relate to because I'm from the countryside, and I was really often in nature also, and still my body wasn't included, as even sleeping on the grass or sitting or hugging trees, or it's so weird in a matter of speaking that we are in communion from nature. It's natural to be in communion. We are in communion. And still, it blows my mind still away, like, how can we not acknowledging how we are in communion with nature, with planet Earth, with animals, with everything? It's really recently that it's more, I can't say palpable. I don't have words for it. What I can say for me, Corinna, is even the happiness or the laughter I had at the time of camping, during camping and there, it still wasn't the happiness I I am now. It's not I'm having. That's the difference. I had fun. I had laughters, but I wasn't really the energy. And now, even every time I speak about Earth or with my body, I I am that happiness. I'm starting to laugh, and also that is
Can I,
how we humans lie to ourselves and make constructs
can I ask you a
to
question?
separate us. Yes, yes, please.
Uh, what if the earth, by being who she is, allows us to have the connection, the mental connection, but it becomes, or not but, and it becomes a two-way street once we start including our body, once we start responding to the energy that the earth is gifting us with.
And there we are back to receiving.
Yeah, it's,
There we are back. Yeah.
yeah,
And it is, the earth is an allowance. No matter
yeah.
what we are doing, how much we abuse the earth, she is an allowance. But there is, when it's going the two sideways, then there is, yeah, a complete other, there are so much more possibilities also. And the receiving, yes, the receiving.
And see, the thing is as you said, it's, we approach the earth from a mental construct. We have our definitions, our conclusions, what the earth is. And if we really care for the earth, then they are one direction. For other people, earth is a rock in space. End of
Yeah.
discussion. But it still is a one-way street. And it takes the willingness of having the body and perceiving through the body to be able to perceive the energies that the earth is gifting us.
Yeah.
We cannot perceive energies from a mental construct.
So true. So true. And that was when everything changed for me, that I really can see now and acknowledging that it is pumping up my receiving and then including,
Mm-hmm.
and stop, separate everything from me, from my body, from everything, and seeing also how far the abuse goes. We abuse our body in so many ways. And even the period I was nearly obsessed with health and food, healthy food, all also from that construct and the definitions, and
Mm-hmm.
even following science. And yes, there is a lot of information in that I received, how the body works and how the food influences. It's all good, but still you can do it also there from that construct without receiving. And when you are receiving, then things change. Even a really healthy life, or living a healthy life, confirm definitions or conform structures you made, doesn't mean you are really healthy.
What if healthy could actually be asking your body what it requires?
Yeah, yeah, that,
And in that, we open ourselves up to also perceiving the energies of the earth. And if we expand that, then what if we start asking not just our body what it requires, but we also get out of all the mental conclusions and expectations and constructs that we have? Earth, what do you require? I mean, right now with climate change, we have science and we're supposed to be da 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 da. But let's be honest. Yes, we should be way more um, respectful of the earth because we're living on the earth. And why would we
yeah,
want to poison, quote unquote, a environment that we're living in? And yet we tend to do that. If I
yeah.
really look at what we're doing, and on the other hand, would we be willing to acknowledge that the earth hasn't had the same climate for earth history? The climate has
Yeah.
changed. The climate has gone warm, the climate gone cold, anything in between. What if that is also part of what is going on right now?
Yeah.
And how do we deal with that? How are we contributing to the earth so the earth can go where the earth needs to go in the earth development, or I don't know how you want to call it, but contribute to the earth, of knowing that if I'm willing to contribute to the earth automatically will contribute to me.
And that's something, Corinna, that contributing when I started, and that's also recently, because you get it when you get it. And I started to do it really every morning, asking the earth,
Mhm.
what contribution can I be? And from that start, when I started to ask that, and I don't even have to know what it is, it's, yeah, there is some energy and I be that, and that's it. And contribution is also receiving. And I noticed also that there the food or what my body requires also changed, because by asking it and being committed to be the contribution I
Mhm.
could be, I notice also that my mental interference becoming less and less and less and less.
Yeah.
So I can hear with far more ease what my body requires. And even this morning, it was about my noon. I my body, it looked like I wanted to eat. There was I had hunger, and I asked my body, what do you require now? And I started to ask several things, and it was anything to eat. It didn't want to eat. It only wanted water, water, water. Drink even more water.
Mm-hmm.
And I drank nearly 1 liter extra at that moment, and all my complete body changed, and I had an energy, and I could go on all afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And this time there was no mental interfering as like, yeah, but you didn't eat anything already this morning, only drank, yeah, I made a juice out of fruit and vegetables. But it's like we are trained and trained also. You have to eat this and this and this, or so many times, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But by asking, really asking, and willing to be the contribution, and asking her, what contribution can I be? And also I ask the contribution, can I be for you, Earth, but also what contribution can I be for you, my dear lovely body. So yeah, there is so much changing when we are willing to go two ways, not only one way, but a two ways conversations.
And when we are willing to get out of our head,
Yeah,
being the psychic creatures that we are, how much are you picking up somebody else in your area is thinking about, oh, it's noon, now it's time to eat.
yeah,
Or
sure.
you're so entrained to, you need to have 3 meals and they need to be at that time, and you should be eating this, that, and the other. And, uh, sometimes I hear you loud and clear. Uh, Sometimes all my body wants in the evening is maybe a smoothie, or just even watered down juice, because I'm not that keen on just water. I like
Yeah,
a little bit of taste in it, in the water. And so I take juices and water them down, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah,
So I have my taste, plus not the same intensity as
yeah.
the juice in and of itself would be, or the smoothie, and then it's often, okay, what fruit do I have? Yeah, okay, da da da, and we'll throw
And
it
isn't it
together.
interesting also, Corinna? I'm not sure you experience the same, but when you really go with your body without the mind, the energy is there. Then the true energy is available. Because how many people, and many years ago, before my first shutdown of my body, in a matter of speaking, how many people go on only on mental force,
Mhm,
as going, 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 and thinking that they are doing well because they do 1 or 2 hours sports a week, and they eat healthy, they drink healthy, or whatever. But it's mental, mental, mental. That's really in the last few weeks and last days, even, what's blowing my mind away, in acknowledging, because it's
mhm,
not bad or wrong, it's acknowledging how I also was functioning from all those constructs. And isn't it when we acknowledge, that's my experience, when we acknowledge something, then there is also more ease with change.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And if
And
it's working, you can go on. If it isn't, choose something different.
that's, I think that's a great key that you're mentioning there. And how much, on the other hand, are we even looking for change? Except for, oh, this is wrong with my body, and therefore I have to, which again is coming from a conclusionary view that we are entrained to.
Yeah.
Because science is informing us, nobody is teaching us, just ask your body what it would like. We're not talking about that as a culture, neither in Europe where you are nor here in the US. That is not a predominant thing. As
No.
science
No.
tells us, this is so. And I mean, I remember over the years how much have I laughed because yeah, when I was visiting my parents, we had butter. No, butter is bad. You should use margarine because of actually, wait 10 years. Actually, butter is way better than margarine. And there was this constant, this is good. No, we were wrong. This is good. Uh, you know, what if I just ask my body, what would you like right now?
Yeah. But we aren't, yeah, entrained in that. It's all the
Yeah.
opposite. And that's what we are doing also with the earth. Like even from science, it's that's the case that we concluded, and
Mhm.
from that conclusion, that's the solution.
And how much of the conclusions are actually born from the desire to control?
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
mean, how much of the climate, and I'm not saying we should continue to put out all the stuff that we're putting out because it is not a contribution to the earth, but it's we want to keep the climate the same because we've had it for the last 100 200,000 years. Therefore we need to change that in order
Yeah.
to make that happen.
And
And
isn't that interesting also, Corinna, that yeah, we want to keep the same climate, even though we know that there were climate changes over the years. So where is that coming from? That suddenly now they don't allow that change.
because we have
In
short
history,
memory,
it's normal, but now you can't allow it.
we have short memory. We've kept record for of the climate, of the weather for the last, let's say, 200 years. And
Yeah, and even
that
then,
needs to stay the same.
yeah, I hear what you say. I hear you. But at the same time, there is so much we can read about and
I
getting
know.
information. And also there you can see, yes, but that's like that book that's here in front of me and I can read it, but I don't, yeah, it's nothing about now, it's nothing about this earth, it's not separating, as though like all those climate changes weren't happening with the same planet. It's the same planet.
I remember what a shock it was for me to read, and that was just recently, maybe within the last 3 months, that I read that science found out that Antarctica was a rainforest way
Amazing.
back when. As a Antarctica for me mentally, and that is how we function, is this ice continent. Excuse me? Rainforest? I mean, talk about a total flip.
I remember when you told me the first time, I thought also, isn't she losing there some in her head telling me this? Is it possible? Yes, yes,
But
it's amazing.
it really, how much am I willing to be present with that? And what if I allowed the earth to choose that again?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, our climate will change drastically if Antarctica becomes a rainforest. Our climate will change just because Greenland is losing a ton of ice and the sea levels will rise. And yes, there are going to be implications. And what if we all work together to support each other to deal with those changes?
yeah. And could it be also, Corinna, some energy that comes in here is when we allow the climate change, for how many people that could include that they have to leave where they live or go to another place. And perhaps that's also in a problem for them. Like, now I'm settled here and I'm staying here. It's the weather that has to change, not me being in allowance or contribute or going together with all those climate change.
I mean, how much
It,
has history changed just because about 2000 years ago the weather got colder
yeah,
and there were more snow, more ice in the northern regions, and the people that lived there started moving south.
yeah,
And in a way, that whole thing led to the fall of Rome. If just looking at history,
yeah,
they
true.
moved south. Rome, it took longer for Constantinople to fall, as in the greatness that it had, but we've been through that. And it's not that I say we need to look back at what has been, because today is not going to be in the same way as it has been in the past. But people had to adapt to the climate change as we will have to adapt to the climate change.
Yeah,
And
true.
are we willing to collaborate instead of what happened back then, overrunning?
True story. But isn't it, Karina, that change is considered as wrong,
Yeah,
as bad?
yeah.
So when we go with that idea that change is bad, that change is wrong, then the fight will go on.
Are you saying that as long as we continue with judgment?
Ah, perhaps yes, because it is.
Yeah, it
It
is.
is.
Yeah.
So therefore only I love our conversations to open up a little bit more and
Mm-hmm.
not from the rightness, not from the wrongness, not the good thing, the bad thing, but really I'm so the benefits I receive from choosing to open myself up
Yeah.
for every energy, whatever it is, to receive, to go in two directions and not only in one direction. So yeah, and that's something I'm committed to yeah, to bring it out. And if there is only one person, every time we have a conversation, if there is one person touched and opened or more open to reflect to it, what contribution is that
Yeah.
for Earth and the change?
And the thing is if we have our conclusions, then we basically are putting blinders on. And
Yeah.
all we can see is this. And there are not really, if we stay with climate change, there is a limited number of possibilities that is available within that. If we're able to take the blinders off and just even move it out a little bit, how much bigger, how much more possibilities, or more and more and more possibilities are we able to perceive on how we could work with climate
Yeah.
change? And the thing is if we look at the natural world, animals, are they stuck or are they willing to shift because of a difference in climate or, we're the ones who think that we need to control and this is what is right. An animal
Mhm.
doesn't consider this is right or this is
Yeah.
wrong,
Yeah.
you know? And so it really is this opening up to introduce, to allow people to have more possibilities, to perceive more
Mm.
possibilities, that is really a great
Yeah.
outcome of these
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is a little bit, the view is completely different. And there is so much more possible. Yeah.
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 And the happiness, Corinna, the happiness you receive
Oh
from
no,
all,
I'm so sorry.
yes, but you can't. You
No,
will never be happy.
no, I can't. That is
You are
impossible.
not allowed. It's not for you. You are too old. You are too far away. Not possible.
Yeah, I get it.
You get it? That's
Yeah.
my conclusion for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh boy,
So, Karina, I think, I'm not
we're,
sure, but I think
we're done
we
for
hit it
today.
our time.
Yes. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Marianne, for joining, and we'll be on next week again.
we will be on and have a good rest time of the
Week.
training you
Yeah.
will
For the
wrap
rest
up
of the
today.
day.
And then we meet again next week.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye bye.